Hello and welcome to my gallery here in southwest France. I'm Diana, I'm a watercolourist and I teach watercolour classes here. Quite often when people arrive for a class, they're stressed, they've rushed to get here, they've driven a fair distance, and for the first 10 minutes I say to them, just relax, breathe, just find some composure before you start. Often people can get so stressed, even after they've been painting for a little while, and find, I just can't get this right. And I have to remind them that painting should be a pleasure. And so this is what this video today is all about. We're going to paint a subject completely stress-free, just enjoying the process of putting the paint on the paper. It's not going to be challenging in any way, but you're going to learn along the way how the paint reacts, how effects can be produced with very little effort on our part, just enjoying the process. That's the subject of this video. Stay calm and breathe. So let's get started. I have everything prepared. I have a long, narrow piece of Arch watercolour 300 gram rough grain paper. I also have palettes, blues and greens, a combination here of ultramarine and permanent rose, a lovely green palette with Winsor blue green shade, ultramarine blue, I think it's transparent yellow and Payne's grey, and then another blue palette which consists of manganese blue with cerulean blue and a little hint of burnt sienna. All the paints are ready to go, and I have two mop brushes, one size 10 and one size 4, and my Hake brush as well. I'm painting in this format because it's a very calming horizontal way to apply the paint, and that's what this video is all about. Staying calm, enjoying the process. And after we've created the images, 3 in total that we're going to create, I have a piece of card here. It's A4 size card, folded, because hopefully if what we create is attractive enough, they can be sent as a card to someone else, to someone you care about, to give them also to pass on that feeling of peace and calmness. Just a lovely gift to receive. And so this is the plan. Let's get started. I'm starting off with the Hake brush and some clean water, and this is going to be for the sky area, and I'm using my two blue palettes, and spotting the colour in and just letting it run. It's great fun because the paper is so long, and I'm filling in the gaps and just moving it a little, and it can be very random. But now we start to apply the greens, which are going to be part of our landscape. And really, the usual laying a wash rules don't apply, because we're going to go backwards and forwards with different shades of green, up and down, to give us the contours of the countryside and the landscape. And you can see that's happening already. We've got our greeny yellow and we've got our blue green all blending, because I'm working along the edge of the wash as we go down the paper. But I am going back into it as well. So we will get some blooms as well, which will make things interesting. Just washing the colour down and just enjoying going with the flow. No stress, just that lovely feeling of applying the paint to the paper. Nearly at the end now, we can go back in and just add a little bit more interest and a little bit more contrast. The blues and the greens and the yellow just blend so beautifully. Now I'm spotting some green in along the lines of some of the curves. Don't know how much of this will be visible when it's dry, but just doing it all the same, just for the fun of it. Now we can see the vista is dry and we've got a very different picture. We've got this massive bloom in the sky, and I can still see the rolling countryside, so I'm just adding a little bit of extra contrast in the background as well there, just adding a lighter green, nothing too drastic. This is a calm, gentle picture, and we'll leave it at that. Now you can see that the painting is dry, and I've cut it into 3 sections, each to fit with the folded card, like this. And now we can look at each one individually and see what additions we can make to make this panorama, this landscape, more interesting. The bloom we have in the sky is going to give us lots of challenges, but that's okay. This is just an exercise. It's just a little bit of paper at the end of the day, and we're working with what we've got. So we'll start with this one, put the other 2 aside now. And we see I have an area here which lends itself to tree line. We can see the green blends beautifully with the sky here, and we have this harsh line. Now I could try and move it with the yellow brush, but I don't think I'm going to do that. This is the acrylic flat that we call the yellow brush here, or the magic brush, because it does perform miracles sometimes to help you out when things go a little bit awry. But I think I'm going to make this line a line of hills in the background, and I'm looking now at the palettes that I have. Not going to add any more colour, any different colour, but just going to use them a little bit differently. So I'm looking at my manganese blue hue with cobalt turquoise and burnt sienna here, because I want to start in this area and work my way down. So I'm using the medium mop brush, and first of all I need to mix the colour so that I have a generous amount. The magic of this palette is that if we add either to the manganese blue, which is here, or the cobalt turquoise, if we add burnt sienna, we get some wonderful neutrals, grey, blue neutrals, which will blend themselves very well to the mountainous backdrop that we have to this picture. So I'm just going to go with this mix of colour and going along the line here, just following this line that we have, just take it and then come down here, just like this. The lovely thing about painting like this is that your imagination can run wild and things can unfold as you go. I've not practiced this. This is just as it comes, so to speak. Suddenly I think we've got a headland in the distance with a storm, and if I add water to this so we don't have a harsh line here, I can come down like this into this area. Maybe this is the coast here, and we could add a hint of more bluey blue, just here, giving us a horizon line as such, coming in. Okay, and I'll leave that to dry, and we can go back and redefine that when it is a little bit drier, and I can start to think about this area here. I'm going to I think I have a liner. No, I don't. It's disappeared. Okay, we'll stick with the mop brush then, because I'm going to go into my green palette now and emphasize the trees a little bit more. Just give us a little bit more definition. We already have, when I applied the extra colour earlier on in the video to this area, I had kind of a hedgerow defined. So I'm going to stay with that same line coming down. It's all about layers of colour, and not too many details really, just a hint, so the imagination can make the picture unfold. So I'm going to take that to there. Okay, and here in this area, I want to have a foreground. So I'm going to go back to my burnt sienna and cobalt turquoise, make it a little bit darker, and come in this area with stronger colour. Just again, the texture of this paper, which is torchon, which is rough, will give us some texture very easily, which is good. So this is my foreground. I can add more darker colour to this, just spot it in. Like this. I've left little gaps, as you see. Okay. If when you're doing this you see a harsh line appearing that you don't want, such as this line here, we can always wash this down with clean water and just let it disappear. Because as I've said, this is a very loose picture. We're not copying from anything. It's just come from the marks we put, the brush strokes we put onto the paper. And I'm not going to do a great deal more. I want the mountain to be a little bit more defined, and there might be a little bit of drying time involved here, but I'll just go back and see if we can get away with it by just adding more colour along here now. I think that's working okay. This is the headland, as we've discussed, which leads down to the sea. Okay, that's worked. Come along and come down. A little bit more. And then maybe spot a little bit more green in here, just so that we don't have a harsh line. It blends. I don't want to take it right. I want it to be a gradual blending there. Okay. In this middle ground here, we could add more detail. So I think I want to leave it very simple, because this is supposed to be a calm, stress-free picture, which at the moment it is. Can you imagine standing on this little rocky outcrop here, looking out over the sea with the storm on the headland? I think that works. I'll have to go in search of my little liner now before I think I'm going to put two people standing here looking out over the vista. So I'll be back in a moment with my liner brush. Okay, I found it. It was hiding behind the water jar. So here we go. I'm going to go back into the burnt sienna, the small blob of burnt sienna that I have still left on this palette. And those of you who've watched my video on Simple People will know that we start with the head and we do half the person. I think I covered this as well with the cycle race sketch that I did just a week or so ago. So I'm thinking that the two people are standing here looking at the view, and if I can manage without smudging, because this is still wet, I'm going to start with a head, half a head really, a shoulder, a chest and legs. That's all. It's like a little exclamation mark really in paint. Hope you can see it okay. And then I'm just going to add water to the other half. So then suddenly the person emerges, looking out over the view. I think I'm going to put another one here, another person, so they're not alone. Again, make this a tall person. So head, shoulder, chest, legs. Add water. I think this one's female. Strange how they do acquire character, personality. So that gives us a scale of the picture, and you can see they're looking out over the view. I wouldn't really want to do any more to that, and when it's dry I'll be able to glue it onto here like this. Sign it, of course. You always must sign your pictures and send it to someone as a peaceful gesture, as a calming picture, just to remind them of you. When you stick it on with glue, I usually use PVA glue. One tip I would give you is to find a heavy book. Once it's glued on, put it into the book and leave it overnight so that it dries flat. Otherwise it'll be a bit wibbly wobbly and it won't look quite so good. So that's our first calming picture. Let's look at the other two and see what we can do with them. Now this is the middle section and probably the most challenging. Going to have fun with this. I don't want a range of hills going like this. That wouldn't work. So I'm just going to decide which are the ones furthest away and work with that. I think these two hills are going to be furthest away. So I've got my number 4 mop brush and going back to the burnt sienna, cobalt turquoise and manganese blue combination. So the first thing we're going to do is to define the area of the hills. So coming in here with my colour, just following the line really, come down to just this point because here the other hill is going to come in front. So for now I want to add water, move it a little. Found the little liner. So here we go. You can spot in some darker colour. Even go to Payne's Grey as well. which is on the green palette here, and just spot some colour in. When you spot colour in, the paint is released by the brush as you lift the brush. So, some water added just to wash it down a little. Okay, we don't want them all the same colour, but you can see the cobalt turquoise and the burnt sienna do split. So you do get a combination of blues and browns, which is good. Come down to here. I'm going to just take this colour across like this, because these mountains are going to be in the background. And here we've got a mountain which is closer. So I'm going to go back to Payne's Grey, which is a colour that I love and use a lot. Add a little to my burnt sienna and cobalt turquoise mix, and then bravely go in. We can come up above that line. We don't need to stick with the line of the bloom. Coming down. This is more like a rugged mountain top. Coming down like this. It's in front of these mountains. They're still wet, so I'll have to be careful that I don't let the colour run in. I'll leave a little barrier at the moment. Can always go back afterwards. And I'm going to leave some, could almost be patches of snow sitting there. Let's just bring the colour to meet it like this, just to give us some texture. Just take it along, just tentatively touch that area. Okay, that's okay. There we have our mountains. I can add more rocky features just whilst it's still wet. To this area. Okay, it's good in an exercise like this not to have an image to live up to. This is just purely and simply made up from the marks, from the brush strokes that we made on the paper at the start. Just take it along, let it blend. Okay, so now we've got mountains and a valley bottom. We've got a darker line here that I added before, and so I'm maybe going to put or give the impression of some pine trees down here. Just more pointed and more angular. This is all done in real time. I'm not going to speed this up because I want you to see what you can do in just a small amount of time, and how you don't have to be too detailed and too precise. Okay, again we can spot some darker colour in here to give those trees more depth. And we can wash the colour across afterwards, because again we don't want a harsh line. Now we could, if we wanted, give the impression of water here. You can use the flat acrylic, just see if it'll move a little. which it is doing, which is good. Can you see the line that we've made? Okay, just take it across. So this could be a lake in the valley bottom. Doesn't matter that it's green, doesn't matter one bit, because we can add a hint of the reflection of the mountains if we wish. So just coming across like this. Now it looks a little bit more flat, and going back to the mountain colour, just add a little hint of not too solid, keeping it, move it with the acrylic matte yellow brush just to kind of give that impression. Whilst it's still wet like this, you can add more colour and it will run along the line of the, so just take it like this. I think this must be Scotland. Looks a little bit dark and foreboding, or it could be the Lake District or any mountainous area. Okay, right. I might go back to that water, but I can't really do much more to it at the moment. Just move a little bit more there. Don't want to lose the light completely, but I do want the feeling of the dark reflection of the mountains in the background. And those mountains have granulated. I hope you can see we've got granulation happening here with the cobalt turquoise, which gives them texture. The foreground, I'm not going to do a drastic amount with the foreground, just maybe a combination of a rocky area here. Again, this time I can use the mop brush on its side. But you can play about like this and add colours and mix them and just generally make texture. It's only a little bit of paper at the end of the day. Like this. We don't want it to be the same width right the way across. We want some areas that are more detailed and others that are. We can add a mixture of colours like this. Spot some colour in, spot the darker colour in. Good old Payne's grey. Having a foreground helps to give depth and takes the eye through. And we can even, if we wish, use the point of this just to add a hint of vegetation or grasses or whatever comes to mind here. Nothing too detailed, just suggesting. Okay, right, I'm going to leave that now. We almost have a way through here, coming from the foreground through the valley and to the mountains. And again, once this is dry, we can attach it to the card, and there we have a mountainous view, totally different from the last one really. So let's look at the third one and see how we can make use of the detail we have there. The third and final one in the series, we still have our bloom. This is quite regular, and I think I'm going to try and modify this with the yellow brush, with the magic brush, with the acrylic flat. So I've got clean water, just going to dampen the brush and see if I can move and create more irregular cloud line with this. Don't know quite whether it's going to work, but we'll know. Aha, yes, okay, I think we're going to win with this one. Just don't be tempted to try and modify it by doing a line. Use the acrylic flat like a little sweeping brush, going in there and nudging the colour, and make a cloud-like blob, taking out the line. I know having blooms on paintings can be a real pain, but sometimes you can use them to your own advantage. It's not all bad, and it's just the joy and unexpected nature of watercolour. So I'm just going along, breaking up the line. So we have a cloudy sky here. Strange really, when we first discovered how useful this brush was in moving watercolour paint, the local art supply shop in the nearby town, the ladies who ran it became very aware of how my painters going into the shop to buy a brush would say, oh, it's the magic brush, it's actually a Dale Rowney System 3, if the truth were known. But it became known as the magic brush, and we have a line. I don't know if you can see the line, but that's okay, we can compensate now. I'm going to my Permanent Rose and Ultramarine palette. I'm just going to spot some colour in to these clouds. Usually the base of the clouds is darker, so that's where we, and keep your brush strokes round, no straight lines. So now even the shop knows exactly what you mean if you go in and ask for a magic brush. It's a Dale Rowney System 3, 1/2 inch, if you want to get technical. Okay, maybe I'll have a little hint of Payne's Grey as well. Looks like there's a storm brewing. I want to keep it quite subtle, don't want it to be too stormy. So we'll just move that around a bit. Water will always help you out. Just add water by the side of the paint and magic happens. It is quite stormy looking, but at least we don't have that bloom now. I think this is a more flatter, gentler landscape than the one we had before. And we've got some little blooms here as well. So I'm going to use my liner brush to kind of capitalise on that and add a bigger tree this time. Just little dotty bits here. Could be a stand of trees actually. Could be more than one. Always do the leaves first and not the trunk. You don't see all the trunk, especially if the tree is in full leaf. Maybe another one here. It's a hedgerow. Move the colour a little. Okay, possibly another hedge line here coming to meet it, but further away, so it's smaller. think we need something here. I think we'll have another tree and then a little gate. Bigger tree, but we only see part of it because the rest is further away, out of shot. This little liner brush will dance across the paper. No bother. Okay, coming down to this point. And now I'm going to go with, again, burnt sienna and add a little to my Payne's Grey palette. Just, it's damp there, but it doesn't matter. We're just kind of indicating that there's a fence here, which you can leave that to run a little, and the fence line comes down here, but because it's wet, fences always look better if they're a bit rickety. If the posts are all straight, it doesn't look good. This will be a little bit bigger because they're nearer. Okay, and the gate. Okay, we could, again using the acrylic brush, just take out a little bit of paint here, just move it to give us a lead in, a guide to the gateway. Getting bigger as we go closer. And add a little of your burnt sienna. On the damp areas. Perhaps now I could get away with just indicating the base of the tree. Trying to do it quickly means that it will run more than it should, but if you've got more time, you can just wait to have your branches and your tree trunks a little bit more defined. Okay. We see that we have some harsh edges now at the base of the cloud. We don't really want those. So I've got another mop brush here, which I'm just going to squeeze out and just go along. At this stage, where it's just damp, we can just nudge those edges so they're no longer a harsh edge. Which will make our sky look a lot better. Okay, so there we are. A little walk in the countryside for our third picture. Another one to send to someone just to say, wish you were here. Thank you for watching that. Thank you for watching my video. The three little pictures are dry now and ready to stick onto the cards to send as a gift. I hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, and not a stressful moment really. The editing was the most stressful bit, but that's always the same. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments you may have. Those comments are important to me, or suggestions for another subject that you would like to see me paint, because I like to paint all sorts of different things and to pass on the knowledge and the expertise that I have to you so that you can enjoy your watercolour painting. So until the next time, happy painting. Bye.